Limited weirdness, right?
Really?
Yeah, Tyler. What? I mean, some days the weirdness is just out of control. Like, you could spend 4 hours bringing you stories that were really weird, and then other days, like, it ain't so weird.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say, Tyler? Are there certain days that are weirder than others?
Well, Monday is always big.
Yeah.
Monday or Tuesday, because like we don't go through the weird on especially Bears Mondays because we've got football to talk about.
Right.
So we got a loaded up Tuesday. And then Monday in general too, you get the whole weekend of weird. And like we know, Friday and Saturdays are like the holy days of
Holy
when
days?
a lot
Like
of
Holy
this stuff-
days of weird.
Yeah. So
Do you prefer weird stories versus like sports stories? By the way, Waddle's World is brought to you by our great friends and partners at Wintrust Community Banks. They are Chicago's banks. Find your nearest Wintrust Community Bank. Visit wintrust.com/find us, member FDIC. There's a couple of people on Twitter that always say, less sports, more weird. Fellas and ladies, I'll bring you the weird when the weird is available. If there is where I have a shortage of weird, then I'm going to have to bring you some other things. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe sometimes you need people to call in with their weird.
No, you don't. No, don't. Absolutely not.
That could get
We
dangerous.
want to control the dissemination of weird information. But I promised that we would take these calls early in Waddle's World because we promised them, and I see that Marcus in Woodstock has actually been holding for quite some time. So I will cede some of my weird storytelling time to Marcus in Woodstock as he has a question. Marcus, how are you today?
Waddle, oh my God, you're so awesome for
Yo,
acknowledging that.
there
And
you
I
go.
appreciate you
See,
for
look at
pausing
that.
your weird for
Yeah.
me.
Pause my
You-
weird for you, Marcus.
Man, you're the man, bro. And I'm telling you, I've been with you since your playing days. Yes,
Ooh,
I
you're
am
an
a
old
fan.
guy then, aren't you? You're old
Yes,
like
I'm
me.
44, baby.
Oh, I'm
44,
57.
baby. Man, look. I've been following you since Boston College, baby. You are the man. I
Nice.
love you. Okay?
My guy.
So now we're gonna talk the wide receiver position.
Okay.
And we're gonna get real about the DJ Moore situation.
Okay.
All right. Everybody is acting like DJ Moore is not a human. Okay. DJ Moore had a personal relationship with Justin Fields. They were friends. He had one of his best productive seasons under Justin. Of course he's frustrated right now. You were a receiver. You knew what it was like when you played with a quarterback that had your number and when it was a quarterback that didn't have your number, and you were frustrated. Yes, on camera, we're going to say all the right things because this is a PR game. But, man, my brother played 4 years of football. I know what locker room conversations are like, okay? And it does get personal, and it does reflect about your frustrations about what you were doing before as opposed to what you're doing now. So, yes, there is growing pain. You go back to his exit interview last year. What did DJ say? Caleb, what did he say? We don't need Caleb. Justin is just fine. So now all of a sudden this guy is supposed to change just a couple months later? He's a human.
Yeah. No, I mean,
He's
listen.
not a robot. He's a human.
Yep.
And he is going to take time to adjust to a new situation that he didn't want to adjust to, that was forced on him by the organization he committed to. You've played in this game. You know about that. You know sometimes you got to eat what the organization forces on you. Doesn't mean that it was your personal best choice. It just means that as a professional, I'm going to get through it. But of course there's frustration.
Yeah.
He's been in this league a long time, and he's sick of changing quarterbacks.
Yep.
He's sick of putting up big numbers and having to start over again.
Well, thank you for the call, Marcus. Thank you for the nice words as well. Look, I think there's obvious frustration. You can see it. I don't think it's affecting DJ's play. I don't think DJ actually, and that's one area where I will, kind of veer away from what Marcus had to say. I don't think DJ's frustration is that he was so comfortable with Justin that he didn't want Justin to leave, and he's not comfortable yet with Caleb. This is my interpretation. DJ was option 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. However many options there were in Carolina for the years he was there, he was there. He was the guy. When he came to Chicago last year in year one with Justin, he was option 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
And I think he's frustrated that he's not contributing more. not because his numbers are what they are, but as he has said, he's tired of losing and he has confidence in himself that if I'm involved, meaning DJ, we have a better chance to win. So I think that his desire to have the ball thrown his way and for him to be a larger part of the offense isn't about just being selfish. It's about his confidence that if you get me involved, we're going to be a better football team.
It's okay to be frustrated
Sure.
that he wanted to zag and Caleb wanted him to zig.
Yeah.
Like
It'll take time.
That's what takes time, knowing what your receivers like to do with what their defenders are, how they're playing them, and what your quarterback is going to do. And does the quarterback see that that's what you're going to do? I mean, look at Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey. They know each other
Yes,
like the back of their hands.
The example I was going to mention, and I know you remember it vividly, remember the arguments that Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams would have on the sidelines up at Green
yes.
Bay as they were trying to find their rhythm?
Yes.
And it was usually Rodgers getting after Davante Adams because Rodgers was the veteran, accomplished player, and Davante Adams was establishing himself as a great player in the league. And then after a period of time, after missing those back shoulder throws and not being on the same page and butting heads, and I'm not even suggesting that DJ and Caleb are even showing that kind of emotion because I don't think they are, but it takes time.
Yes.
And once you find that rhythm and you know where each other is kind of supposed to be and how you're thinking, that's when it all kind of comes together. So I don't think this is really unusual. I think there is frustration on everyone's behalf, but I'm frustrated because I would like to see them get DJ more involved in the downfield passing game, but that's just me as a fan watching. Are you watching any of the
No.
playoff baseball?
No.
Not at all.
No,
Not one bit.
no,
No interest.
no.
Well, so then I can't ask you the question.
Go
I was
ahead,
okay,
ask me.
I'll
Ask
ask
me.
you,
Can I-
and I'll ask
can
the
I
baseball
make
fans.
up an answer?
Of course you can.
Okay, ask me and I will make up an answer.
What we've seen so far is
This
what
is
have
going
we
to get
seen?
weird.
We've seen the Detroit Tigers
Yes.
go on the road and sweep the Houston Astros.
Crazy.
2 out of 3.
Cray, cray.
And what else did we see? We saw the Kansas City Royals go on the road and sweep the Baltimore Orioles in 2.
Yeah,
games.
Sweep doing a lot of work there in a 3-game set.
Well, that is a sweep, though. I mean, right?
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, maybe it's less strenuous sweeping, but it is sweeping nonetheless, right?
More
Sure.
like it's like porch sweeping. It's not like an
Yeah.
actual.
That's fine, but I would
of a
ask
dusting.
you: Are you okay with how the Major League Baseball playoffs are? I mean, obviously they've added
Oh, yeah.
a wild card, or would you prefer? As most series are 3-game series in Major League Baseball, would you prefer something more along the lines of best of 5, even in the first round?
No.
Because
No.
more baseball is not more better for you.
No,
is what
it's
you're
not.
saying.
More is
Okay.
not better for me. No, not at all. Once football starts, it's hard. It's hard for me to tune into baseball if I don't have a rooting interest. And the worst thing that could have happened was Detroit winning. The worst thing.
Why?
Because Jerry Reinsdorf is going to take a look at their payroll and he is going to look at teams that are continually winning with lower payrolls and thinks,
to that point, what is
thinks that he could do that
What is the fact that you guys were telling
on
me?
the South Side.
Yeah, Josh Hader makes $19 million. The entire 26-man Tigers playoff roster makes 18.5. The
Tyler had
entire
to,
roster.
he
Yeah.
had to tell me that on a number of occasions because obviously Javi Baez, who makes more than that, is on the injured list. He's on the DL or whatever they call it in Major League Baseball these days. I can't believe you had to repeat that to me several times. That a Major League Baseball playoff roster, collectively the guys on it are making less than $18.5 million.
18.8 to be
Whatever.
exact.
But it's like every year now, there is a team that has a very low payroll that
There-
is right in it.
There's no way in the modern baseball era that a team with that low of a payroll cost has won a playoff series, is there?
I'd imagine some of those Rays teams
That's
had.
what I was thinking. I
geez.
thought Tampa definitely.
I don't know if they've ever been that
That
low,
low?
though. Now, again, you'll have to, the Baez factor, a lot of times you're not looking at the actual 26-man roster that's, competing. Oftentimes it's who's on the injured list, but the Rays have had some significantly low payrolls in the past, decade or so.
All right, so less baseball, more better for Peg.
Hey, let me ask you
What
this,
about
though.
you two
Yeah,
guys?
yeah. Go ahead, Tyler.
Will you watch if we get a Dodgers-Yankees World Series?
Yeah, I will.
Intently, or will you just kind of?
Casually.
Yeah, there's no chance.
Yeah, no. Jeff Miller.
What? I wouldn't.
Are you
Based on
Jeff
the way.
Miller? I did cover baseball for many
Sure.
years.
Absolutely.
Sounds like you did it reluctantly.
And baseball was my first love. I love baseball.
What
I
has
really
happened?
do.
What has happened to turn you away from baseball?
It's not that I got turned away, but it's just like
The same thing that's
basketball
happened
for
to
me.
every other person across America, probably, for the most part.
There's other options for me now, and that's what I choose. I've chosen other options. So,
Such as
I watch some really bad reality TV
television
shows.
Like, so you're choosing bad reality television shows
am.
versus playoff baseball?
Yes, I am.
But I think Peggy's the norm. That's not.
No, I'm not saying that it's an odd, reflex. I'm just saying.
And I'll tell you what, and I know we'll get into this later. It's going to take a lot for me. I was on my way back to starting to watch the Bulls again. And basketball was my second love. That's the sport I played. That was my game.
Has the way the Bulls have done business, has that turned you off on the game?
No, to be honest with you, I find the personalities a turnoff. I think that the front office, and listen, I know the coach is very, very good. I'm not kidding myself, but I find it boring. I just find it boring. I don't find it interesting. I just don't enjoy watching them. I want a rooting interest again.
Okay. Can I turn to you two guys about the best of three series?
Yeah, it kind of feels.
Abrupt.
It
Yeah.
feels abbreviated is the word I was going to use.
And I feel like we see too many sweeps too. Like tonight we have one game 3 out of the 4 series, and I feel like we're lucky if we do get one game 3 out of all the series each year. Now it's been a limited format; it's only been around for a couple of years, but I don't know. It just feels like these are very short series, and I feel like these teams should get at least one more crack, or at least have the opportunity to have a home game in some cases.
My problem is that baseball has changed their playoffs so much over the last decade that I need to remind myself as we head into the playoffs how exactly they work. For instance, yesterday, as I was following the game.
Do they reseed?
What?
Do they reseed after a round?
Well, yeah, I had to remember, or I had to remind myself by reading the rules again. Okay, wait, do they reseed based on the lowest seed? Do the Yankees get the lowest seed in the American League? No, they do not reseed in baseball. And then I also had to remind myself, as the Tigers were winning their second in this 3-game set, that, oh, wait, no, the Astros have now been eliminated. Because I do forget, okay, we go to a 5-game series in that next round, then a 7-game series for the LCS. And obviously the World Series has been a 7-game series for basically as long as you can remember. But they change the format so frequently in baseball that there's no consistency to it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I'm
no, I know.
a
It feels
pretty.
like I just blinked, and then 2 of the series are already over. And by the way, they were both won by American League Central teams that Jerry Reinsdorf looked at when he gave his speech before the season began and basically said this is a pretty winnable division because of the rest of the.
It's a good thing the White Sox are in a bad division. Could you imagine how bad their record would be if they played in a good one?
Holy moly.
Maybe if they were in the AL West, they would have made the playoffs this year.
Does anybody.
It could have been a 90-win
That's a good
team
point.
in a different division.
Before we take a break and come back with the Pooh story, does anyone have a good explanation for why there was a good article that I didn't get a chance to bring to everyone's attention yesterday about how collectively passing yards are way down in the National Football League through 4 weeks, like significantly down. Do you have a good explanation or a strong feeling as to why that may be?
I would, if I had to guess, the number of young quarterbacks right now, there is a bigger learning curve with the young quarterbacks. and offenses are going back to running the ball as a more conservative approach to get the quarterback in a position of being comfortable.
There's a really good article on ESPN.com from Stephen Holder, and the title is Why Passing Yards Are Declining in the NFL. And I think we touched on this a little bit briefly. In 2016, through 4 weeks, the average passing yards per team was 251 yards a game. That was in 2016. In 2024, this year, 203 yards. That's like a 48-yard difference
Wow.
per game, per team.
Are they saying why?
I believe that. How did you interpret what the answer was? Like,
I think Peggy, you're on to something. Those are a couple of factors. There's lots of things
teams are you see less standard defensive fronts.
Yeah.
You see nickel defenses.
Yeah.
And I think you have seen teams when teams are taking away the pass, they're more willing to run the ball. And I think running
Right.
totals are way up.
to combat the passing prevalence across the league that you saw for the last 10 years, all of a sudden now you'd see nickel and dime defenses become more commonplace. In fact, that's actually now your set defense. That's why someone like Kyler Gordon is so important to the Bears, because he's not a nickel as much as he is. He's an actual starter
Yeah.
in your secondary.
He's actually going to play more snaps than Jack Sanborn.
Yes.
Yeah, so you have defenses now that's more commonplace. And so to combat that, you've got now head coaches like Jim Harbaugh who recognize that, and they're like, you know what? I'm going to throw 6 linemen out there, and I'm going to go ahead and run more often, and force you to stop and tackle my big uglies out there.
Is it the too high safety that they started, like they brought back the last couple of years? That's kind of been a trend.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what against the too high safety, you're going to run the football
Right.
because there's not a safety in the box. You know,
Right.
you're playing at that point. You're playing against a 7-man front versus an 8-man front.
Right.
So, all right, when we come back, I do have a poo story, and I also have a story about Cheetos that's quite disturbing. That's
I
next.
like both of those.
Really?
Yes.
Want the poo story or the Cheetos
Let's
story?
go with the poo because, let's just go with the poo. I'm hoping it's a Winnie the Pooh.
No. This is
Oh.
poo with no H.
Oh boy, you know people.
This is
a lot of people
this is
don't
a medical
like.
story.
Oh,
Mellor
this is
hates it.
good.
Anytime you have Mellor will come at you with some of the sharpest humor you've ever seen.
But he doesn't like.
Once you go to the bathroom humor,
Yeah.
he turns up his nose, he hops on his high horse, and he gallops away.
Okay.
Like, really? I just heard you say this, and then someone made a fart joke, and now all of a sudden it's you're too good for all of us.
My horse does not like to get down in the gutter. I'm not going to lie.
Poo crisis in U.S. waterways. Plankton can't clean up the mess. Zooplankton, tiny aquatic animals known to graze on bacteria, are ineffective at removing fecal microorganisms from sewage-contaminated water, according to a new study. I know what you're thinking. Uh-oh. The findings challenged the assumptions of the researchers that these tiny animals could act as natural cleaners by inactivating harmful pathogens in freshwater and saltwater environments. The hypothesis was that zooplankton would consume or neutralize fecal microorganisms, potentially reducing the risk to human health after water contamination, but the results told a different story.
All right.
Did you follow that?
I do. Have you ever been on the south end of the Chicago River?
No. No. Should I have been?
I went in a boat, a rowing. There's an organization called Row, and it's for women survivors of breast cancer. And
Wonderful cause.
they row
Yeah.
as a recovery. So
Right.
it's called Recovery on Water. I went and rowed with them one morning, and it's at 5:30 in the morning, right?
Certainly.
It's on the south end of the river near Guaranteed Rate Field. When I tell you that they could have used that plankton, they could have used the plankton.
The problem is the
it's
plankton's
awful.
not even working. And how about this?
It's awful.
How about this? The team's research comes at a crucial time. It says a 2017 U.S. water quality report found that over 50% of rivers, bays, and estuaries were unsafe for at least one use.
Yes.
With fecal contamination
Yes.
being a major factor. Remember
It's
in
true.
the Olympics?
Yes. And
In
the Seine.
Seine.
Yeah.
Seine.
Seine.
I would trust
yeah.
you because But yes.
Well, and I am telling you, for the high school teams that use the south end of the Chicago River to row, you never want to go overboard.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't want to
Ever.
go overboard anyway.
Well, yeah, but if you
definitely
go
in the
overboard,
poo
it's
water.
okay.
You don't want to go in the poo water.
I mean, there are diapers.
oh.
You see diapers in the south end of the Chicago River.
Well, why don't we start like the middle part
It's
of the Chicago
I
River
just
next
don't.
time?
I once saw, this is this is where I like a confessional.
You
like
once saw a Tootsie Roll?
No, I need to
floating?
I feel this was an incident that I felt awful about. Okay. I was driving down the Eisenhower and I was driving into work a couple of years ago, and a car in front of me opened their window and they were throwing like paper towels. It looked like it was something out the window. And it was like my car
You
was
were
like,
dodging?
Yes, I was dodging. And then I realized there was
Poop.
poo
Yeah.
or throw up, one
Yeah.
or the other, and they were cleaning and throwing it out the window. So I passed
Called
them
a poo grenade.
and I
Gave them the finger.
gave them the one number salute. And you know what? It looked like they had a baby in the car seat in the back who had gotten sick. And they were cleaning and throwing it out the window and the diaper and stuff too.
You know what you should have done?
And
you should have
I
retaliated.
felt awful.
You should have retaliated with a little poo or vomit of your own. and
No,
throwing it
I
out the
felt
window, right?
awful because
Am I
what
right?
if that baby was sick and they were like rushing the baby to the hospital or something?
Yeah, but I think that yes, I think you could have some compassion for the illness that
I
the
felt
baby was
terrible.
dealing with, but that doesn't mean you throw poo infested or puke infested stuff out the window
Out the
that could
window.
cause a wreck.
Right. I agree with you.
Cheetos food coloring turns mice transparent. That's got to make you confident, doesn't
no.
it? Yeah.
That food dye.
Popular food dye in Cheetos can turn the skin of live mice transparent to reveal the animal's organs inside.
That cannot be
When
good.
scientists massaged a solution of the dye, it's called tartrazine, onto the bellies of live mice, their skin appeared to vanish, revealing the inner organs and pulsing muscles in the gut. After soaking the mice's head in the solution, they saw blood vessels that sluice the brain. Applied to the hind limbs, the dye showed muscles in the leg.
You know, in the UK, on food items for children, like snack items,
Yeah.
it is a warning that food dye has been known to cause behavioral problems in children. It's on all of their food packaging, not here in the United States, but you go overseas, they put it on everything.
Well, and not just that, Peg. That's the actual food dyes they allow. There's a lot of stuff they do not allow in Europe, in products that are sold in the U.S. that are made completely differently, like different types of candy. That in Europe there are different types of ingredients because they're not allowed to use them and sell them.
I wish on any version of alcohol there would be a label on it that says this may make somebody act foolish. So I could use this.
Wouldn't that be
So I
great?
could use this as an excuse when my wife says, "You were a complete asshat last night." I said, "Well, you look at the label on the Scotch bottle. It says it can make you act foolish."
Right?
Yeah.
Do you like Kit Kats?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
My
Will
son.
that make me turn invisible?
I don't know, but my son, now you guys got me thinking about like candy labels and stuff from other countries. When my son came back from his 5-country tour of Asia, he brought back a backpack filled with different kinds of Kit Kats. Every
How
country
did
in
you get them
Asia.
through customs?
It's food. They were all wrapped.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I'm going to have to go back and look at those
I'm not going to eat
labels.
those, so keep those. Don't bring them in.
No?
Don't tempt us to eat them.
Really? Are you
No,
sure?
You're good. Yeah.
Different flavors.